Hi, welcome to another episode of the Need Stack. Uh, what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about a health check. It is something that I've forgotten to implement in our Nest application. What is health check? Health check is just uh, an API, that you add to your application. So in our case, that is the Nest, and this is used by infrastructures like an API gateway or Docker or Kubernetes to check the health status of your application, to check the health of your application by calling this path periodically. And what you have to do is generally in your application you will return a 200 if everything's okay, or something in the 200 range if everything's okay, and 400 or 500 range if things are not okay, right? And typically what the application what the infrastructure will do is, for example, if you're using Kubernetes, uh, the, the health check when your application returns, like a bad health check, like 400 or 500, two or three of these in a row, Kubernetes, will kill the pod and then restart the pod, right? Uh, what we're going to do is this: we are going to implement a health check. This is to set up for the next episode, which we will use in Docker. This is a really short episode, and I just want to add it in just for completion. This is the API that I'm going to add. Generally, the API is just like slash health, uh, but in Nest, because we set the global the global prefix to slash API, there is currently in Nest there is no way to just say slash health one. You have used the global prefix, so I will just use the slash API slash health until such time as Nest allows us to have an exception to the global prefix. So let's go and implement this resource. Again, as usual, I will create a branch. I'll say part 28. Okay, and just check. Okay, so you have part 28, and all this, the entire, this entire episode is just going to happen, on the back end. The back end. That's the back end, and we will start first of all by creating a separate resource. Okay, I'm going to create a new controller here. I'm going to say add a controller. I'm going to call it health. HEALTH controller. Controller. TypeScript controller. And I'm going to create a controller. Okay, let me add the controller first. Okay, that's what it is. I'm not sure. Okay, so for class controller. Okay, so the controller, I need a name here. I'm going to call this health. Okay, so this is the name we use. I'm going to call this guy health controller, and then have a constructor, and then the method is a get, and then oops, not importing this. Okay, and then I will just say is sync health, and then it's going to return something. Okay, very simple like this. So the way we're going to check the health of our application is that we're just going to do a simple ping to the database. Okay, so not a simple ping, but we're just going to access, what are the table in the database. If you can, if you're successful in accessing, the database, then we will return a 200. Otherwise, we return either a 400 or a 500. Okay, so to do that, what we need is we need the database service. So I will inject in the database service, persistence service. Okay, and then I will just call this here. Okay, port database. Okay, and Now assign this over to here. Report database equals to persist service. And what we're going to do is this, we're just going to do a very simple thing, okay? So we'll say, since I'm inside an async method, it's called await. We're not really interested in the result. We just want to see whether this is successful. Oops. Okay, and then you just use the get kbox. The user ID, I'll just pass in a wildcard. And then the limit, I just want, just get one record. If this is successful, then what I'll do is this, I'll just return. So remember, we've got a make response method. We'll just return something, right? Okay, so I want to return the HTTP code. Oops, not HTTP code. HTTP status. And then I'll return a 200. Okay, so let me go and so as with our case, we always have a standard response envelope. So let me go and create the response envelope under the response check here. It's going to be very simple. We are not really interested in any of the data. I'll just go get helps HELP get helps response. Okay. And what we will do is here we will return the get health response. Okay. It's kind of like this. And so in here we'll go get health response. Okay, I'll need to do a make response. So let me import that in. This is under util. Make response. And if there is any error, what we'll do is this, we will, first of all, as usual, we will log out the error. And you just say error, health error, and then we just throw an internal server error. Internal server error exception, right? And then just go. So that is our very simple controller. Now we just add it to the main. We just add it to the main module, declared in the main module. I'll just put here health controller, okay? And that's it. We are done. So let's check out this. Let's check out this API. We'll do a node mon to start it. It's taking a while because this is a cold start. Okay, so now we started. So we'll test it by just going HTTP localhost port 8080, then API health. Okay, then we should be okay. So let me stop the database. So the database is stopped. Just to make sure. So now let's do this again, and we should get an error, connection refused, which is good. So the error is what is the status code is 500. And now if we start it again, and for health, it looks like our API, our health API is working. So one last thing before I end, we need to document this in the in our Open API spec. Okay, so I'll just do it here. So it's a very simple API. Let me just copy this, guys. And then I'm going to add to here. Okay, and so So this is health check. I'm going to call it get. I'll just probably call it health check. Okay, and the response is going to be this guys. Let's copy here. Okay, so these are my responses, and uh, the response is going to be get health response. Okay, and everything's okay. So I just need to define the get health response, which is just this. I'm just going to copy this over, tidy up this guy. So this is get health response. Get health response. Okay, and so the timestamp and the status code is mandatory, but the data is not mandatory, and we'll just do it like that. So that's the Open API spec. We won't really need to test it. Just one final thing before we end is I'm going to use my Open API validator to check to validate the the open spec. Okay, so no error. Right, so I will end here now. This is a very, very short episode where I'm setting it up for the next episode, and actually the next two episodes where we'll look at Docker and Kubernetes. And in those two episodes, we will leverage this health check API. So till then, stay safe.